Welcome, welcome to the Left Coast Live. It is Wednesday, March 6th. I am your host, Dieter McBusiness, with my co-host, Stateless Patriot. How are you, my man?
I'm doing pretty swell. Like today was actually pretty solid. I felt really good all day. Didn't really distract myself. Everything was smooth. Everything went by really smoothly. I'm just happy the week's halfway over.
Yeah, hump day is behind us.
hmm
Thankfully, we have plenty to talk about. Actually,
Oh
not a
yeah.
ton, but we're going to keep it pretty California specific tonight.
hmm
Opening up with some fantastic news.
Yeah.
A nice little California surprise, if you will. Adam Schiff was not a surprising victor yesterday in the primary,
Yeah.
but we did have a little surprise at his victory speech.
hmm
I want to thank, in particular, I want to thank my family. My wife Eve is here tonight. This is my wife Eve. I want to
Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now.
I
I can't believe California voted for this schmuck.
I want to thank you all.
Never again is now.
See this, Mary?
Thank you all so much.
And then the whole crowd, like they're getting aggressive there.
We are so lucky to live in a democracy where we all have the right to protest. I want to thank you all. I want to thank you all so much. And in particular, in addition to my wonderful wife, Eve,
God damn, dude.
I also want to thank
Bunch of old
my daughter,
schmucks, like,
Alexa,
come on.
and my son, Eli.
Free Palestine. Let Gaza live. Yeah. Schiff deserves worse, honestly. Like, it really sucks, especially, like,
I want to acknowledge the right of our protesters, and I look forward to working with you all. And
no, you
onward
don't.
to
You're
victory
bought
in
by
November.
Apex. Shut up.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, and let's go on and win this thing.
So-
on and over, everybody, and thank
It's
you.
gonna be so
for all your support.
friggin' funny if he loses to the Republican.
So, a couple things.
hmm
One is for those who don't know, Adam Schiff engaged in some pretty sketchy, unethical, borderline unethical campaign
to say the
practices.
least,
Just
yeah.
not classy. The opposite of classy, classless campaign tactics, okay? And what he did was Steve Harvey, who's the Republican nominee, didn't spend a dime on ads,
Is this-
whereas
is-
Adam Schiff spent all of his money on Steve Harvey ads.
Really?
So it was reverse psychology by by Adam Schiff getting out there and telling Californians in regular TV ads that were all over local news and everything
yeah.
that Harvey is not good for California. The Harvey people showed up. The MAGA crowd showed up for him in the primary. So it wasn't Katie Porter or Barbara Lee. It was maybe going to be Katie Porter if Barbara Lee hadn't have gotten involved. A lot of people speculate about that. I don't know. I'm not going to label myself as an expert on California politics, but there is some arithmetic to suggest that had Barbara Lee not gotten in there, Katie Porter might have been able to get
Well, that's
up to
that's
that
the
level,
thing
but-
too. Like, looking at the numbers, even if like say Barbara Lee dropped out and endorsed Katie Porter, like their combined vote totals were still like not even close to how much Adam Schiff got. Like I think if combined they got like maybe like 720, 750,000, whereas Schiff got like 1.1, 1.2 million, something like that. So like, regardless, like, there's just so much money backing Adam Schiff, and his Senate campaign was unavoidable. Like, I swear, every other ad on Instagram, for example, was Adam friggin' Schiff. Like, I was so exhausted by it. So like,
He reminds me a little bit of John Kerry in 2004, which you might not remember.
a little
but
before my time, just a little bit.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
I do
he
remember
was
him
a
though.
he was a stuffed shirt Democrat,
Yep.
establishment, inherited the opportunity, right? It was his turn. And that's what it felt like with Schiff, was that it was his turn. He didn't need to engage in these kinds of practices of promoting the Republican so that you make sure in a jungle primary that it's you and the Republican and not in you and another Democrat. I mean, God forbid we actually, have some really sophisticated levers of democracy work the way that they're supposed to, right?
Yeah.
So that's Adam Schiff. He gets protested in his victory speech. Apparently, that speech was supposed to be much longer. He
Yeah.
had written that. I think he had spent weeks writing this victory speech, and they totally crashed and burned it. And so that is, I guess, a good thing. I mean, look, this Israel-Gaza conflict has become
It's
a huge obstacle in the
Big
way
time.
of all things progress. I mean, it is just
Big
standing
time.
in the way. And I tell you, who loves it the most is Putin, because it takes attention away from him in Ukraine.
Yeah.
And so he's psyched about it. And then all the conservatives are psyched about it because they love war. And all the lefties hate it, not just because it's war, but as bad enough as that is, it's just another huge distraction. Here we are
Yeah.
talking about, I thought that was one thing we had maybe put behind us, or we were in the process of putting behind us, was these kind of Cold War style military conflicts across the country, across the globe, in other parts of the globe that, for the most part economically shouldn't really affect us that much. And yet we find ourselves neck deep in it. Not just knee deep in it, neck deep in it. So here we are with Israel and Gaza, and it seems to me, just in terms of personality types involved, Netanyahu plus AIPAC plus a lot of other powers that I am not aware of are taking advantage of Biden and his people, and just been like, just trust us. We've been with you forever. You've known us for a long time. Just do what we say, and it's not a genocide. It's not a genocide. And it's
Right.
like, well, I don't know. Modern day media is kind of exposing it as a genocide.
Yeah, no kidding. It's to the point now where like even like Kamala Harris is like publicly saying a ceasefire needs to happen, and there are
But then for 6 weeks, she put a time limit on it. She's like, ceasefire for like 6 weeks, and that's it.
yeah, and hopefully like I think the goal is use that 6 weeks to come up with an actual long-lasting peace deal, like a multilateral, multinational involved peace deal that involves multiple countries and can at least offer a pathway to a two-state solution, and so that way this kind of thing doesn't flare up again. Excuse me. I won't hold my breath, but I think that might be why there's a push for this. Not to mention, it is kind of detracting from Biden, because Biden's not even getting like not moving on this issue at all. So it might be. I have a feeling that I don't know. Maybe Kamala Harris is kind of like positioning herself as like to the left of Biden, and politically it's smart because like if he gets replaced or drops out or whatever may happen, she wants to differentiate herself slightly from the position that the White House has been taking for the past several months on the issue of Gaza.
Yeah, I think you can kind of do a bait and switch and just put blame on Biden, have Kamala replace Biden, and then there's your fresh new start for the party. I don't know. I think it's going to – the party's so damn stubborn, and they're just used to doing things a certain way that they're probably not going to do anything until they absolutely have to, and that means the convention. And I think that the Republican convention is in July,
Yeah.
and then the DNC convention is in August. So that's going to be a long month.
Yeah.
Trump's going to come in hot with their Republican speech, and it's going to knock it out of the park, and the whole media is going to be eating up his Republican convention speech for 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, more than
Chewing
likely.
on that.
I mean, like if it's reflective of any of his speeches or rallies or whatever lately, it'll just be the same goddamn jibber jabber, just aimless, pointless, mush mouth, like self-flagellating nonsense. So
Yeah, but it's just I wish the DNC was coming in first.
yeah,
Because then they could do the change, and then that would put the Republicans on their heels for a month. They would eat up a huge media cycle. So I don't even know if we. My point is, I don't think we can wait as long, as long as we need to, as long as we would normally need to, which would be the convention. I mean, it's
Right.
March. We got 5 months to go, more than 5 months to go, until we could actually do it from like a. Anyway, I don't know. We talk a lot about making that switcheroo, but we'll do it. I'm going to do a recorded episode on it. We're going to talk off screen about how to, maybe get a message out because it needs to happen.
yeah, like make a viral push for
Yeah.
Whitmer, Newsom, or even like, I mean, like, if
I've floated around a Newsom as president and Whitmer as VP to a handful of people, some like normie Democrats, normie liberals and stuff, and they all love it.
yeah, I mean, because like the only obstacle, like say like Biden does suspend his re-election campaign, the biggest obstacle at that point is Kamala Harris because obviously she would be next in line. So like
Yes.
I don't see any like the most likely like outcome is she runs for president in place of Biden. At that point it just really comes down to who she would pick as her running mates. And I think it would make most sense to have Newsom like a dual California or origin ticket. So like, I mean, if anything, that probably might be the way to go if it does come to that point.
Yeah, we'll find out. I think that no one likes Kamala, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah,
Including normie Dems. I mean, progressives definitely don't like her. And
Right.
normie Dems don't really seem to like her. They do seem to like Gavin. I mean, shouldn't we just kind of say forget it to all of convention at this point and do what is
Yeah.
required to win?
yeah,
Just do what is required to win.
Yeah.
Sometimes the ends justify the means. Not
Right.
always, but and now speaking of the one and only Gavin, Mr. Newsom, this is his baby, California Prop 1. I'm going to refresh here to see if we can...
only 52% reporting, huh?
Yeah, that's been stuck on that for a while. Okay. So, anyway, I'm going to...
Yeah, I really do hope it fails.
Yeah, so did you do some more follow-up research on that? Because it seems to me, based on what I read, they just screwed up. Newsom took it for granted that this money was going to be available. They used the surplus that they had a few years ago on a bunch of other programs. I don't know what they were exactly. That's on me to do some more research and find out, because that's what it's all about, right, is where is all this money going? Because this was criticized as just another way of making up for the failure of I wouldn't say war on homelessness, but the crusade, the effort, I would say, that's being made in California, the effort that's being made, nothing more than an effort, to get on top of homelessness. There is an effort,
Yeah.
but it is not good enough. It is not good enough. And this, I think, once you empower the voters to say, to judge whether or not you're doing your job as public servants. They're going to judge you.
Yeah.
And I think that's, I mean, if he doesn't get it, it's only 52%, so this could go either way. It's about 23,000 vote difference right now, but you're talking about close to 4 million votes being cast. So
Yeah, so far at least, yeah.
This could go. This is a coin toss.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man,
Yeah.
exciting. The only exciting part about the elections actually are the ballots. But
Yeah,
I
no
was
kidding.
surprised. I also understand he being Gavin Newsom also pushed out a bunch of other ballot initiatives because he wanted the sole focus of this election in terms of the ballots to be on this one ballot. There were other ballots that were supposed to be on here, but he was like, no, it's just going to be this one this time.
Yeah, and like, I mean, this is just a primary and whatnot, but clearly, obviously, there's going to be the general election in November. So like, obviously, there's going to be a whole lot more ballots that are like not ballot propositions that are going to be on the ballot come November, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, well,
We should know that.
yeah, because I don't even know. Like, I mean, I haven't been voting long enough to even really know this, but
I don't think so. It has to go. The ballots have to make it through the primary process all the same. I think. Maybe not. I don't know. I shouldn't have said that because now I'm turning my cards over. I don't know Galley politics. I know national politics, y'all. I know federal politics real well. I'm only been in California a little over a decade. So
Yeah,
cut me some slack.
like I couldn't even tell you like whether or not we vote on propositions in the primaries as opposed to the general election, and like what difference would it really make? Like, why not just wait until the election to put a proposition on the ballot? Because not everybody votes in the primaries to begin with. So like, what is it?
Right.
What exactly is Prop One doing here? I mean, it's out of my wheelhouse, but I'm curious to know know more about that.
Well, and one of the articles, or actually all three of the articles that I read about this, they all said that the problem is confusion. People see this and they're like, wait a second, we're not creating new money, but we are creating new money, and we're reallocating money, but we're not reallocating money. And they were going, nobody got a good read. It's like, wait, they're moving around resources. It's like, yay,
Yeah.
mental health, and yay, Gavin Newsom for this huge bond thing. But why wasn't this taken care of? And why is homelessness continuing to grow up despite all this money that we're throwing at it? Like,
Right.
where is this going? And shame on California, the land of creativity, for not having video evidence showcase. It would literally take a 5-minute video compilation to showcase where all the homeless money has been going since Newsom's been in power. But my guess is that if they actually did that, the voters might not be too thrilled with how the money was spent. Because otherwise, I'm telling you, man, I think he got a little spending happy with that surplus. You saw that $100 billion. I think you saw that $100 billion surplus come in.
Yeah.
This was only for what, $6.5 billion, $6.4 billion bond. He had a $100 billion surplus, man. He should have carved this out. This should have been handled.
Yeah, because I remember like around the when the pandemic was going on and whatnot, like California did have a sizable surplus, and that's like pretty much vanished.
Well, now I think it's. I don't want to get. I need to know my numbers, but it's a deficit for sure right now.
Oh yeah.
All right, so that's Newsom's baby Prop 1. It is on life support. I wish I had better news for you, my man Gavin, but dude, it's not like you didn't have. I mean, governors. Correct me if I'm wrong, but most governors dream of a surplus, right? Like that's a dream scenario.
Exactly.
Is when you have a surplus.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, and especially as long as like you're willing to utilize it in a proper way. Yeah.
telling you, man, he missed that opportunity with the military vote and going after, in a positive way, veterans, and just making sure that veterans never have to worry about health care and having a nice, peaceful, quiet, place to go off and live the rest of their lives if they, run into PTSD issues and stuff. It's such a problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you run into any fentanyl deaths or overdoses in your
Oh yeah.
friends, family, community? You have, yes.
Not
Oh.
well, not like in my immediate circles, but I do know of people that have
Like 1 degree of
had
separation?
yeah, like or maybe a couple, uh over. In fact, I'm literally actually talking to this girl right now who uh I want to give away too many details, but she had some party drugs, her and her friend, and upon doing them, uh, there was fentanyl in it, and both of them overdosed, and her friend didn't make it, and it's kind of really messed her up since then, and
Whoa.
yeah, yeah, it's definitely not unheard of out here, at least where I am. Bay Area. There's lots of different drugs going around, lots of different pills, or cocaine, ketamine, whatever, and there's a lot being pushed in terms of safety when it comes to 'cause, like, I go to raves and whatnot, and there's a rave scene out here that's really bustling and really diverse and whatnot. And rave safety is just a big thing because obviously drugs are going to be taken. There's really no preventing that. There's no stopping that. But because there's just such a prominence of things being laced with fentanyl, be it like MDMA or opiates, whatever, uh, that's definitely a huge concern because there have been overdose deaths within the community for sure.
Yeah, well, I was going to say I had a 1 degree of separation death recently on a cocaine overdose, and
Yeah.
friend of a friend, but I met the guy and not too long ago, and I won't go into details, but he's leaving behind. It's tough. It's a tough family situation. They were gonna get married. They were not yet married. They were gonna start a family. It looks like that might happen even though he's not around.
Mm.
So yeah, I told all of everybody that I've come across recently that, hey, if you missed, if you haven't tried cocaine yet, and I'm not saying I have or have not, but all I know is that I will never touch cocaine again.
Right.
Ever. You missed your chance. It's over. You missed your chance to do it. Back in the '80s, they had it right, man. Those boomers did
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
The boomers even ruined that.
Yeah. Yeah. No kidding. I won't comment on whether I do or don't do it either way, but yeah, like safety, like and taking proper precautions is super important. Know your source, properly test it, have Narcan available. It's literally a lifesaver, because you never know. You literally never know unless you take the proper safety precautions.
I think weed, shrooms, and alcohol is plenty for me, and
Of course.
I haven't even done shrooms in years, man. I've only done them like a handful of times,
Hmm.
and I only hallucinated once, and I don't have a whole lot of inclination to try them again. But if they were to become like we talked about with the dosing,
Yeah.
if that were to become a little bit more streamlined, then I would definitely be down to try it. But all the chemicals, like the ecstasy and stuff, I mean,
Yeah.
there sounds like there was a time where I just missed my opportunity to do all that stuff, man. I missed
Right.
my chance to do all the chemical stuff. Never done them.
Yeah. A lot of
Never.
that.
I don't think I missed anything.
Yeah. I mean, I I I did have my time with a whole lot of those things, like way back in the day, like mid to late 2010s. But it it's a lot, honestly. Like I definitely wouldn't touch a lot of that stuff nowadays, and not so much about like the fact that you can like come across like a bad batch and perhaps overdose because it was laced with something that shouldn't be, but excuse me, uh, just the fact that it just depletes like your serotonin reserves and whatnot, and after doing it, like you feel like you're on top of the world and everything is great and like you feel the best you've ever been, but then like less than a week later you're just super depressed. You feel, you know, just kind of like almost dead inside because like that serotonin is not being regulated anymore. But it I don't regret the experiences I've had for sure. It's definitely interesting, and it's like everybody's got to have their experimental phase sooner or later, or like different ones with different things like over time. But like
Another thing that could be streamlined and transparent in our education system is drug education, and have it be like completely separate from sex education. Just be like,
yeah,
this is just like for the next 6 weeks, you're going to be doing nothing but studying like the kind of drugs you're going to run into out there in the world, and this is
Yeah.
what it does to your brain, and here's the serotonin levels that you're talking about. Because it's actually, I've studied a little bit of it back in college, and like reading up on stuff here and there about the kind of stuff that you were just talking about, like shroom specific.
yeah.
And it's not terribly complicated.
No, it's not.
It's not terribly like you get a depletion of this, you have to overcompensate with that, and so you kind of feel happy, but it's not real happiness. It's more of fleeting joy, and and it doesn't really add up to
Yeah.
a positive experience net.
Yeah, exactly. And everything, I mean, it doesn't even really matter what it is, as long as everything is done in moderation. It's easy to like cocaine is super addictive. Like it's easy to fall into that trap, so to speak. And all kinds of people have stories about that. Um, if you find yourself in a pattern to where like, okay, I'm going out this weekend, I gotta get a gram, or like I'm drinking, like I'm having drinks with friends and whatnot. Make sure that I have my hook, get a hold of my plug. If it's getting to that point, then like it's
You
definitely
know the
just-
lingo really well.
no comment.
I don't know the lingo at all. I don't know the lingo like that. I call it. I just know Tony Montana, baby. All I got is my word and my balls. And I
Right.
don't break neither for nobody. Remember that quote.
Man, or just like makes me think of Scarface and like notorious Godfather scenes.
Yeah. Pacino, back when he was hungry.
Yeah.
Hungry Pacino was legit.
Yeah.
Anyway, so here we are in California, and things are, ooching along here. Once again, the great disappointment that is the left coast. Hold on one second. I got to take care of the dog. real
Yeah.
quick.
Not a problem. Yeah.
Hey, buddy. Hi. Good boy. Good boy. All right, so let me check on the latest
Yeah.
prop results.
See what we
Nothing.
got.
Nothing changed there. So this is that was something else. I don't know. What else did you want to talk about? Oh, I know who I wanted to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Was a fellow YouTuber by the name Jen Perelman. Can you hear me
Yeah.
okay? Yeah.
Yeah.
Jen Perelman
Mm-hmm.
is going to be running for Congress
Mm-hmm.
in Florida's 25th
Yeah.
congressional district. And why don't we give her a little love?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
like I don't think
Because I went on here, I'm gonna kind of, there's gonna be a little bit of nepotism or a little bit of narcissism because I am I opening up here with this. Well, you'll see in a second. Hold on. Okay. So this is them announce. This is her announcing.
Oh, no way. There you
I
are.
want to. I want to talk. I want to talk to him about sport. Getting lefties into sports at some point.
Yeah.
He knows a thing or two. He doesn't know as much. Anyway.
Yeah, and I guess that's one way to kick it off. But, every donation counts, right?
Every donation counts, but the money's always appreciated.
Now, remember that any donation that you make is actually to generational change. It's not
Yes,
a campaign.
anything that
Keep that in mind.
this is generational change, guys. So, if you're making a donation to us here, it goes to generational change, and we like that too. That helps us as well. So, honestly, we're appreciative for you guys just being here.
Happy to have you here, Lisette. Appreciate your yeah, so this was...
So apparently, given the amount of people that are here for us to start on a rant, this is the most perfect storm we're ever going to have for a lot of reasons to do this. So it just is what it is.
Why don't you tell the audience who may not be familiar as to why you're doing this, one of the biggest...
I don't even know where to start. I mean, you're talking as of recent.
Well, sometimes when you're considering doing something like this, it's a major undertaking and one that's not easy for people to really wrap their heads around because it's not easy to do, obviously. But at the same time...
No, guys, it really sucks ass. Right now, I'm having a problem because the bank that I spent hours and hours and hours in to set up an account won't let us have a debit card because they said because we're a federal campaign, but that's absurd because banks, people do that all the time. So now I have to start all over with a bank, and it's so frustrating.
So anybody who wants to, like I said, lay an in-kind contribution...
My point is, nobody, like the idea that people would want to do this is so foreign to me. Like, I look at it as something that I'm willing to do. When we're out and we're canvassing or we're doing service, and I'm like, that I like, that I'm good. It's the business side of it that is just, for me, the absolute worst. The absolute worst. Like, and I'm so bad at it. I am so bad at it.
From what I've researched, the first and kind of most important hire you make in a campaign is your head of fundraising.
Right.
So I don't know if they've already hired someone for that, but hopefully they have.
Yeah.
And so it's a struggle. It's a struggle, but we are up and running. We are absolutely collecting money, guys. And the QR code is better, honestly, because I'm telling you that our link is not necessarily easily
they were pretty
connected to ActBlue,
sophisticated about this.
But we are on ActBlue. We are
Yeah.
Jen Perlman for Congress, and we are there. So right now, in a couple of weeks, we will have everything up and running, and we will be able to take other donations that are not ActBlue.
Make sure that you guys shoot a message over to campaign@gen2024.org for volunteering purposes.
And wherever you are, if you want to participate in this, this is for you.
Yes.
This is for you. I cannot stress this enough. This is not like I want this job. It's a service, and this is for all of us. We were joking, and it's funny is so I was going through call time.
Okay, so this is cool. This is cool because she's running for Congress in a district, and it's got this little culture of its own, and she's part of that community automatically. She's got to be true to herself. She could not be more authentic, which I love. I think she's got a great chance of winning just based on that. You know who Debbie Wasserman Schultz is, right?
Of course.
Opponent.
This actually, if I'm not mistaken, this actually isn't the first time that Jen has ran against her. Yeah. I think it might even have been in a different district, but I might be actually totally wrong about that. But yeah, no, I've actually been familiar with Jen for quite a while. She I totally support it. It is I mean, obviously I haven't watched this live stream that they're doing, but I'm really interested in why they're jumping in now rather than earlier. Like they didn't have like that much of a head start. That probably could have helped them, unless it's because, I mean, just Debbie Wasserman Schultz is running against no Republican in the district, which I wouldn't. I would find that confusing. And not to mention, I don't even think Florida's primaries have even happened yet. So
no, this supposedly isn't happening until like August 20th, which I thought was weird. It happens like 11 weeks prior to the general election.
The Florida primary?
That's what I was trying. I have to confirm that, but I couldn't. I didn't.
Huh.
I was like, when? Yeah, I said when when Florida's primary election this year, and yeah, I mean, I think it says March 19th to August 20th, so those are when all the events are in the Democratic Party. Yeah, August 20th, Florida primaries.
Wow.
United States House of Rep, United States Senate. Yeah, isn't that weird?
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, that's pretty far away.
I know, it was kind of hard to believe. I kept double checking. I was like, wait, is this really how the state does it? Yeah, it is. Florida, it's a different animal, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah, sorry about that, Jen. Just totally paused you.
And one of our donors.
There you go. That's much better. That was brutal. Sorry about that. She's definitely not going to be clipping that. Yeah, no, I was all over the chat just because I'm trying to inject it with some energy, and I know that
Yeah,
I like it when people give us chats and stuff like that, and I'm
of
not shy
course.
about giving unsolicited advice,
Yeah,
because she can be right about all the policies. At the end of the day, if you want to win, you got to get people to show up, and that means kind of getting intense about some things. And it's
of
cool. I
course.
think she's got to a great start. She has a focus on her campaign. I'm not going to sit here and watch the whole
Of
thing. We'll do a
course.
little bit more,
Yeah, yeah.
but I do like her. I like automatically. I think in terms of just like what you're working with in a candidate, she's way above her competition.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of what does that actual district look like demographically.
Yeah, no
What are they
kidding.
really going to care about? And she gets, and we'll talk more about this because this is an attitude that it's cool. It's her style. It's her campaign. It's who she is. She should be true to herself. But in terms of national politics, I don't necessarily agree with this approach. But she's not running for a, national. She's running for a national office, but to represent a part of a state, not an
Yeah.
entire state, not.
Right.
Donors last time is none other than Medea Benjamin. And we were just talking about Medea the other day because I'm the kind of
Video's
person
on fire on the hill right
would rather be out there now, more and more now than I will have to be in August. So the sooner that I'm out there,
If only if it was reverse osmosis and you gotta be out there now.
yeah. The sooner I'm able to get out now, the better. And so yeah, whatever you guys help is it's just really
Remember,
helpful.
this is not our words. This is words of people who contribute, and those who contribute are always allowed to say what they want to say because we appreciate the contribution. We do not need a 100-year-old Chelsea Clinton like the AWS in Congress. I will be donating to Jen Perlman. That means a lot, Willie.
Thank
It's great
you,
to see
Willie.
So what I would say, and again, this is
It's,
maybe not.
Wait, let me
Maybe,
say,
maybe not.
look, I wouldn't do it if I didn't think it was possible.
Yeah, there'd be no point in going again.
Okay, but and you guys know this. So like I run service-based campaigns. So regardless, let's say that we get to however high we get and it still doesn't cut it. I guarantee you, we spent the months and months and months serving this community. I will be out there promoting our message, speaking our platform and my mission. And that is what it is. And that campaign pushes the needle. This is why I support Dr. West.
Okay, so
Yeah.
again, it's a stylistic choice. I go in acting as if I'm going to win.
Right.
This district is so goddamn tired of Debbie Wasserman Schultz. It is prime. She is prime for the picking. I'm coming in here not just because I think I can win, but because I know I can win. Like that's kind of
That's
like
the
what I'm talking
attitude.
about with the attitude.
Yeah.
That's the attitude that I'd rather see. It's her campaign. It's not who she is. She's saying, I'm going to go in and I'm going to give it the best I got. And, that's what it sounds like to me. That might not be how she intended it, but is that what you hear? I'm kind of going to give it my best.
Yeah, no, like literally the attitude is everything. If you believe that you can win, you can that your odds have drastically increased at that point because like whether or not you think you can, I forget how the saying goes, but like the attitude really is everything. You can't be pessimistic about it. You have to just full blown, full frontal, like full throttle optimism, basically.
It's like, not that I wouldn't want him to win, and I really would, but like the idea is these campaigns have to be used as part of the process. These campaigns need to be used just like we use outside organizing, and we're not using them properly. So if we have a campaign that's doing that and we don't win, we haven't wasted our time. We have built coalition, we have made ourselves stronger, and we
Don't even talk about the possibility of not winning. She didn't say the word lose, but she said if we don't win, I think it's radioactive rhetorically. I just don't even want it entering. It's like when we win, we will do this. When we win, we will do this. Like talk to me about what the reward is going to be for showing up and filling out the paperwork for you.
Yeah,
But
like
hey,
after we win.
she knows her district way better than we do. So I'm
Yeah.
This is her style. She's obviously she's a woman, so she's going to come in here with a very different energy. This totally could work for her in this district. And because we all know who her incumbent is, and she's such a notorious biatch, that all Jen really does maybe need to do is just be a really nice, approachable person, and that could carry her the rest of the way, especially since she's run against her before. And there's previous track record here.
Right, yeah, not to mention, like I remember when Bernie Sanders launched his 2020 campaign, and one of his first interviews, I think he was asked what makes this campaign different than your 2016 campaign. I think is the question, and the first thing he said was, "We're gonna win." And, like, that was it, and that's always stuck with me. So yeah, hopefully the attitude provides momentum.
Yeah, I think every lefty needs to learn from Bernie's confidence. How can a guy like that be as confident as he was? And
At
by
least in
that,
the
I mean
beginning,
that's just
you know.
I'm just applying the standards of
Yeah.
Hollywood vanity to pop culture because that's what happens. But
Right.
luckily, Jen wins on that check mark.
Yeah.
And we are just pushing the message, and that is good. August 20th.
August 20th is the date. We agree.
Okay.
So smart, but not stupid. I'm not going to call you that.
That's so horrible.
Yes, obviously, Jen will be fighting for this,
Oh.
among other things. I think you could.
Please. I don't even have my bullet here.
Maybe
sadly.
maybe it might be best to not do it on camera.
No. I'll be good now. That's probably true. Although there's no shortage of her being able to pull clips of me smoking.
But what I would say is that we are friends with Ronnie Kallick. Obviously, Breaking News is definitely a place we want to get on. Amy Goodman, if she's interested in having Jen on, right now we're working on getting Jen on Chris Hedges.
Okay, and first off, anybody knows Eugene that would reach. I'm a big fan. So if you have a
Eugene did a
connection,
great job basically emceeing the Gaza event.
yeah,
in New
no,
York
he's
the other day.
amazing. He's amazing. I was following for people, and I'm talking about Eugene per year, who works with Ronnie Kallick over at Breakthrough, and which is one of my sources. And I've been following him for a while, and so until they get elected, and then they get there and they get all co-opted. And why are you different?
It all depends on whether or not you feel that there is something to gain there that you don't currently have, that you desperately want to have. And
Max?
well, we will obviously tomorrow. We're not going to cover today because there's no point because this is about Jen getting started. But tomorrow we will cover AOC and what happened at the movie theater and people coming up to her and whatnot. But
Yeah,
you're either
no.
one way or you're the other way. You have to make a choice.
All
And
right.
if they don't
That's
understand that, especially right now with things being what they are, you cannot walk a line. It's not possible because we're literally living. We are living in a genocide. Got that going on, but it's also everything that's going on here at home. You can't be there and be nice. If people are going to come after you, they're going to come after you, and that's just the way it is.
So censorship people.
Okay, that's enough of that. I think,
Yeah,
for these
like
guys.
I saw something about that, like AOC was running away from like some protesters at a theater or something like that, and was like being harassed or something. And
No, I didn't say.
I just saw like a little not exactly a headline, but like a little title, like alluding to that as a story, and I'm like, what the hell happened?
Okay, hold on. I found. Let's see. Oh yeah, here we go. Sky News, of course.
Huh.
Choose to call it genocide.
Oh wait, I've got it on.
Oh, man.
I've got it on 2x. Hold on. Call it a genocide. Yeah, everyone's trying to drop the G word.
Refuse to call it a genocide. In front of everybody. It's not okay that there's a genocide happening. You're not actively against it.
You're lying.
I'm lying.
You're not.
Yeah.
You're not.
Yeah. What the hell? Yeah. What the hell are you doing, dude?
You was not acting against it. You can't call it a genocide and obviously we're not lying.
We're not lying.
You've been
We're not-
saying it in interviews. It's insane. You haven't been calling it a genocide. Don't tell me I'm lying. Then just say it's a genocide.
God, how pathetic.
Not
Like,
to play like coach or whatever, but there's better ways to handle that from AOC's side. Like you're just not gonna. You're obviously the best choice is to just kind of go on with your life and ignore them, but because no matter what you do, it can get used against you, and it could be dangerous. But the other thing is if you're gonna like kind of snap at somebody and like deliver some sort of punctuating point.
Yeah.
No matter what you say, it's not going to be enough. They're going to come up with something respond. It's too important to them for them to be there in your face.
Right.
What you could, I mean, if you wanted to be bold, you could just be like, you could stop and actually just be like, hey, come on, let's get out of people's way and we'll talk I'll give you a few minutes of my time. And then kind of, do a couple of minutes of conversation. And then if it's like, okay, that's all I got for you today. And treat it like a dignified press greeting.
I definitely
I don't know.
feel I definitely feel like there's definitely a lot more behind this that kind of will probably explain AOC's behavior here real quick. Hey Dory, thanks for joining. Really appreciate that. But yeah, no, like if anything, like
She's probably being harassed. This is probably a lead up of like 90
this is a
minutes.
Group of people. Yeah, like this was
like
probably
90 minutes of people following her or something like that.
Yeah, or like I mean, like obviously this is a lot more. This is probably actually pretty coordinated. Like people knew that she was going to be here, and got together and just decided to start harassing her. When like, sure, she's not calling there's not exactly. many, like in her most recent public appearances, she refuses to call it a genocide, and that's fine. But to say that like she doesn't like support a ceasefire, which is like the bare minimum that should be what's being talked about more publicly, like that, like, and not to mention like she even has even said that the ICJ strongly suggested that what Israel might be doing could be genocide. Like that's the reality. That's actually true. Like she's just providing like facts. Like you can insert like your own personal interpretation of what's going on. Like oh yeah, this is clearly a genocide. Israel's guilty and blah blah blah. But it's important to relay to the world, to the public, via the media, if you have that platform, if you're given that platform, what what has actually been ruled on, what has actually been determined by the cases being brought to the ICJ to determine whether or not Israel is committing genocide, and that's what she's done. Like so, like just harassing her over this is like extremely pointless. There are far, 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 far worse people with far worse perspectives that are in Congress that you can be going after than the AOC.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sick of the like clearly like she's not perfect, but like I even like I've covered this before on my channel to where like people like on the left in particular are so uncharitable when it comes to AOC when she's easily one of the best and most progressive Congress people that we have in Washington. Like it doesn't even come close. And so and this kind of thing is just so old. It's like you're just wasting your time.
Say it. Over 30,000 people are dead, AOC. You can't just say it for once.
Oh
Just
my
say a
God.
word. That's it. That's all we want you to say.
Just shut up. Yeah, we can go ahead and move on to something else.
Yeah. Okay. Fair
Yeah.
enough.
Ridiculous.
I thought there was more to the video, but I guess that was it.
Yeah. I mean, there's like I said, there's probably something that led up to that, and this was probably like a coordinated confrontation by multiple people, but yeah.
Yeah, I feel bad. I feel bad for AOC. I feel like she was just a
Yeah.
little bit. She's just a little bit in over
Frustrated.
her head.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
she's.
that
I
too.
think she just bit off a little bit more than she could chew. I mean,
Yeah.
you know the story, right? Like
Of course.
she got recruited. Like I know
Yeah.
other people who got
Justice
recruited by the
Democrats.
DNC.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was also the Democratic Party in general. They recruit like camera-friendly people.
Mhm.
They've done it in other metropolitan areas.
Yeah.
And so I don't, she didn't expect to win. She won. Then she got in
Mhm.
there on this whole like progressive message. And
Yeah.
yay. But now she's part of the big boy group, and
Mhm.
she's hanging out with the Pelosi's, and so now she's gonna maybe do a little bit more of what
Of course.
Nancy tells her to do, just
Yeah.
to go along to, you go along to get along, that kind of thing.
Right.
And before you know it, there's not that much shit she can talk about Israel when there comes time to hit them with the genocide bomb.
Yeah.
And she doesn't want to do it.
I
She doesn't
won't
wanna do it.
I won't disagree that in recent years, like a lot of her rhetoric has been a lot more tame and whatnot. Seems a whole lot more coordinated. Like she'll lay out the reality of this and that when it's when given the opportunity, but she won't go off on tangents about her beliefs or whatever, like she did when she was first rising to prominence. I don't think she's stupid at all. I think she knows. I think she's very, very well educated, and it is very succinct when making the points that she has to make and whatnot, confronting whoever it is on her committees, like some clips of her going after whether it be like greedy CEOs or bankers or what have you, are excellent. They determine her obvious intelligence. But I can imagine like how young she is, because she's probably like, I think like 34, 35 or something like that, and just all this pressure and just the just being jaded by the inefficiency of Washington in general. It's got to be taking a toll on her. I wouldn't fault her for like lashing out like that. You know?
Yeah, no, I definitely don't blame her for having those kind of. She wanted to respond and thought she could get through to those people in those
You
moments.
can't. You can't.
You know, you just can't. You just got to stay stoic. You just got to go with stoicism, man. Stoics are onto a lot, man. Just don't care. If you don't care about things that, can hurt you, then, it's like those. I'm always jealous of introverted types who, like, don't need as
Right.
much attention as I do to be happy.
Yeah.
And,
She just wants to be left alone. She was clearly like she was pissed. You could tell just how upset she was. Yeah.
But here we go. So I know, so you know more about AOC. You like AOC more than I do, I think, a little bit at least. And in terms
She's
of just
pretty,
like,
she's pretty cool, I guess.
I like her a lot. I just think she's fallen victim to the power of the status quo.
Sure.
The status quo is just so powerful.
Yeah. I mean,
And-
like if you, because like it was mainstreamed at first. Like she's one of the members of the squad or
Yeah, the
and
squad.
whatnot.
Oh, man, this-
But but like in recent years in particular, she has not been as vocal and involved and I guess bold as other members of the squad. Like Rashida Tlaib is like one of the most powerful progressive voices consistently, as well as Ilhan Omar. I think those two are easily my favorite Congress people in like period. So like I don't know. It's very interesting. Like I would love to like at least like pick her brain one day and just like tell me with honesty like how how her time in Washington has affected you son of a you're good, how her time in Washington has affected her overall you know just perception
Mental
of
health?
that yeah like, in particular that yeah I mean you know I'm sure one day we'll get like a book or something.
Well, I'm going to be talking about this, and I know I keep saying that, but it's true. I'm going to be talking about this in my scripted episodes about what it's going to take for, regardless of what happens in this election with Trump versus Biden as it is now, it's Trump versus Biden. Hopefully that changes.
Yeah.
But regardless of what happens, the Democratic Party as it is now is not going to deliver the change that we need at the pace or scale that we need it. Period. We just have to operate under that assumption. It's own prudence demand. What have they done that demonstrates that they know how to get? They talk about getting things done. How annoying. That's another cliche. Bringing people together. I'm going to be talking about that. These stupid cliches we hear about all the time come campaign season. I want to bring together. United we stand. Divided we fall. I'm like, well, maybe we should divide out the parts of the country that we do want to fall.
We are for good things and against bad things.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man.
Yeah.
Unless of course you're for IVF. I don't know. That's going to be a huge part of ultimately if Biden does stay in as the nominee. I feel like that's what could ultimately save the left is women. And it is embarrassing that we haven't had a female president by now.
Sure.
Like, it's annoying.
So like this is
still gonna have to wait though.
I mean, to be like really like technical about it, and like not many people know it, but I this is just like a random aside, but like I guess sometime last year, I think it was last year, Biden had to be like put under like sedated or something like for a surgery that he was having, and because he couldn't be conscious, I think I forget where I read this, but Kamala Harris had to be temporarily like sworn in as president. So for like a very, very, very short amount of time, we did actually have the first female president. Yeah. But yeah, I just really hope it's not fucking Nikki Haley. Oh, I mean, it can't be anyway. Speaking of which, because she dropped out.
Yeah, that's right. Nikki Haley dropped out. My
Yeah.
God. Oh, I'm sorry. I did want to go back to AOC really quick and
Yeah,
let it
sure.
so that we can. But I love AOC. I think she's got all the tools to be a superstar politician. It's obvious that the party has not, at least yet, decided to groom her
Yeah.
for the escalator
Right.
and the Obama escalator, you know. But it just they've decided that she's just not ready for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And maybe she will be someday. Maybe she's just. But you bring up a good point that she has options. She could quit politics and go write a book and go be on media for the rest of her life. She could have her own show. She could be like Jen Psaki
Yeah.
on steroids.
Yeah, she
And
should
have
be-
her own show on MSNBC and get paid, $10 million a year and
Right.
live a very comfortable life if she wanted to do that.
Yeah.
But I mean, she has to ride out this Trump era stuff for a while. She has to stay in office for a little bit longer.
Of course.
But the thing that I worry about with AOC is the paradigm, because I want to see strong female politicians. But who are the paradigms? Who are the paradigmatic female political leaders on the left that other lefty aspiring female political leaders can
Yeah.
look up to and learn from?
And
Hillary Clinton, Liz Warren, Amy Klobuchar,
no.
Kamala Harris.
No.
I mean, where do we go here? Am I hitting anybody?
God.
Elizabeth Dole.
I mean, Elizabeth Warren does have her, I guess, perks, but yeah, I mean, you do raise a good point. I mean, when it comes down to it, like in recent years, AOC doesn't seem to be as hungry as she was when she started off. Like, there was even talk about, like, in the before the midterms of 2022, that there's a possibility, like, she could even potentially go for Chuck Schumer's seat in the Senate. Like, granted,
Yeah.
like in my opinion, like it's a bit too soon for that. I think she needs.
I think
to,
she should have done it. She should have Obama'd it. Obama was. Obama had 25 months from the time that he was sworn in as a senator until the time that he announced his run for president.
Really?
25 months. Yeah, 25 months.
Wow, that is insane. Yeah, like an actual United States senator, not a state senator, right?
Yeah, United States senator.
Oh, okay, for sure. I didn't know about.
He
much
had
of his
that
background,
one
yeah.
thing where he cross-examined Condoleezza Rice.
Mm-hmm.
That was like his big moment as a senator, and then he took that and he's like, "Hey, I'm ready to be president because everybody loves me."
Yeah,
I think was I talking about on this show where I think like good politics now has become about getting everyone to like you, whereas it should be about getting everyone to agree with you. Because if you are in this day and age with just how busy people's lives are, I expect my publicly elected officials, at least on a national stage, to be obsessed with these problems to the point that they know the ins and outs of especially the data. I want to hear some statistical quotes all the time from them about how these problems are defined so that they come across as they know what they're talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
It is important to like make your case for what you believe in rather than play it up for the camera or be to be likable. People will like you if they agree with what you're saying. So like you should start there instead of like fall into trends or like be like play it up, like if you have the right ideas and principles and morals and policies and whatnot, people will fall behind you, like the right people at least, because it's so gross. Like I was watching a Humans Report clip earlier today about like Biden supporters and just how a whole lot of them just like him for very just superficial reasons, not that not for any of his accomplishments or anything like that, or not the
Just vibe. Union Joe, man. Union Joe from Scranton.
right, yeah, exactly, or just like the fact that like they think that he is like literally the only hope that we have against Trump, and therefore Trump bad. Therefore we have to support Joe. Like it's sad.
Well, let's treat it. Let's acknowledge that. There's a Dieter decree that's coming up that goes, limitations are creativity's best friend. And that means that it's great. People think of successful artists, successful creative people as like really arrogant and pretentious and whatever, but the great ones are actually pretty humble. And their humility starts with acknowledging what they can't do. And in this situation, what you just described, you have to acknowledge that the personality does matter a lot, that looks do matter, that appearances do matter, that we should be, if we are, Obama kind of bailed on it. He wore a tan suit and everyone gave him shit about it. He never did it again. He should have done it for a whole week, like just to make a point. As soon as he got backlash, it's just like, oh, wait, the Republicans hate this? Oh, okay. I'm going to come in with a red suit. I mean, there's a lot of, dude, talk about if there is no such thing as black privilege except for in male fashion, because they can wear some amazing colors that white men just simply cannot. Like bright green, bright red and stuff. Like I'm just so jealous. Like, I'm looking at these black dudes with these incredible colors. Oh man, I wish I could wear that. I can't wear that.
He really did play like a lot of the Republicans like a fiddle, Like there would always just be some outrage of the week, and he would poke fun at it or dismiss it, downplay it. He definitely had charm and charisma and knew how to work up Republicans and get them all tangled up in their feelings and whatnot. But his style choice was always to be above it. And I think now, because of Trump, things have gotten so ugly that the left, at least like the left that still has something to hope for, that really needs big change yesterday in this country, I think the left wants someone to get down in the mud and punch these bullies in the face and don't stop for another 20 or 30 years, because it's going to take an entire generation to recover from this. I mean, this is generational damage. This is late stage capitalism. On her show Generational Change, she was talking about how it's vulture capitalism, labeling it vulture capitalism. I'm like, well, that's a good, that might be a little too specific. I don't know. I think just late stage capitalism is right, because I think somewhere along the way, if we had regulated capitalism properly, it could have evolved into something that was really great. American capitalism, that is. It could have, if we had, reoriented energy towards renewables and climbed that technological learning curve and prioritized solving that problem. If we had gotten away from foreign interventionism and we wouldn't have needed so many damn military bases all over the world. If we had stronger social safety nets, social programs.
We talked about the pill. That's something that, as men, we struggle to appreciate the importance of the availability of reproductive rights and treatment, and having something like the morning after pill is like, some places it's like $50, and a lot of people can't afford that, so they end up having a kid because they can't come up with $50 for a morning after pill.
Right.
It's unbelievable. Their entire life is ruined. I'm sorry, it's true.
Yeah.
It's like, do you want? I mean, if you look, I quoted it in one of my episodes. I don't know if I've quoted it recently, but 70% of inmates were abused or neglected when they were kids.
You did.
I mean,
you did bring that up, and we did. We did touch on it.
Yeah. We've talked about a lot of it. I mean, it's like these unwanted kids, man. It's bad for everybody. It's the root of all these fucking problems. And after we get done talking about obesity, we got to talk about that too.
Yeah. Yeah, completely agree. Yeah. Like we touched on before. Like if you're neglected, if you don't grow up in a place of love, you're going to lash out, and you're like the only thing you're going to know is hatred or indifference. And if you're indifferent, you're not going to give a shit about punishment. You're not going to give a shit about the law. You're going to commit crimes. You're going to, of course you're going to be disorderly. It's not hard to figure out, but and a lot of that does stem back to poverty,
desperation.
Exactly. And that really messes people up because people don't have anything, have nothing to lose. Like,
And they don't have time. And they don't have time to do it right. They don't have time to do it right.
No,
They're too busy trying to make ends meet. So
Yeah,
instead
they'll-
of reasoning with your kid
No.
and telling him this is why he can't have that, he keeps saying I want it, I want it, I want it. Then you tell him no, no, no. He keeps saying I want it, I want it, I want it. Sooner or later, you just end up smacking him, and you're like, oh well, that shut him up. Now I can move back to trying to make ends meet. Poor guy.
Yeah.
Like it sucks. It is totally
Right.
systemic. It is totally systemic.
big time. Yeah, yeah. It's just like an endless cycle too. Like it is generational.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like in your DNA, you can like trace generational abuse. You can
Big
like
time.
find signs of it in your DNA or something like that.
It's like
Like
it's
you-
like the aspect
Like
of
Holocaust survivors, or like they've done like studies on like Holocaust survivors and stuff like that.
Of course, yeah, and it's a psychological thing too. It's like
Oh,
If-
yeah,
if-
much more so.
if you resort to if you resort to hitting your kids rather than rationally, calmly explain exactly how and why what they're doing is wrong, or trying to correct their behavior, if you resort to violence, you're not going unless you have like an actual grounded logic behind your punishment for your child, and it's not just senseless violence. Like you're out of order, therefore I'm going to hit you. That child's not going to learn anything. That's all that child's going to do is like learn to not respect you. He's going to learn to fear you, and think to himself, "Oh, well, if I can't get what I want, if I can't get other people to listen to me or obey me or do what I want or what have you, then I can also be violent towards them. I could take it out on them as well." And it's just a bad cycle,
It's a vicious cycle. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing that they'll do I had really strict parents growing up. My dad slapped me once. It was like not a big deal, but that was the extent of it. There wasn't any physical abuse. I'm gonna be clear about that. There was a lot of yelling, and it was a very strict household. And one of the things that ended up happening was what you just said. I lost respect for them. I just said basically like, okay, you're never gonna get me what I want, so I'm just going to lie to you and do what I want anyway, and you'll not know the difference.
Right.
And I'm just going to make sure that, I'm not going to get everything I want, but I'm going to get a hell of a lot more than what I'm getting now, because you're not, you're giving me this, that, and the other thing, but you're not giving me anything I'm asking for. I mean, this is like kind of we were talking about a little bit earlier about narcissistic family systems, but it's when, when your parents think of their kids as extensions of themselves and about the way that they should act rather than them as free and individuals who are gonna
Actual
become their own
people.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that creates a whole host of conflict within the child where
Yeah.
child doesn't feel free to be themselves, and that is a lot of consternation
Exactly.
in conservatism comes from that.
Yeah.
A lot of conservative culture is about making my mama proud, that kind of crap. That kind of crap.
for
I remember
real.
my mother used to never shut up. She had a really bad problem with talking too much, except around one person, her mother. Only around her mother was she actually deferential. She would be polite. I shouldn't give her, act as if she was a social penalty the entire time. She wasn't. But she would just, after a few glasses of wine, she'd just run off at the mouth and act like she knows everything.
Right.
And it happens to the best of us, but it happened all the time with her. But yeah, it was funny to watch, like this kind of Southern code of conduct, like the respect and not just respect, but almost like, just surreal respect for your parents to the point of like,
Yeah.
they're almost like a king and prince.
Yeah,
situation.
it's like a lot of that. Like it dates back several generations. It comes down to everything centers around your parents because
Yeah.
they brought you into this world. Therefore, they deserve.
They paid the bills.
Yeah, they deserve unconditional respect. Despite your personal feelings. Despite what their behavior towards you or the way they treat you. And you never stop to think. Like, oh, is this wrong? Is the way that they do things wrong? Like, no, you don't question it. And that's the case for a lot of people today, a lot of older people especially. When you, it's it, because you learned it like at a young enough age not to question your parents, and so like you don't dare step out of line. It's basically just traditionalism. Like even a
Yeah.
lot of people that have long since passed on are still dictating the way that a lot of things are run in society, like policy wise and whatnot. Like there are a lot of traditionalists, a lot of traditionalist conservatives and whatnot that don't want things to change. They want to regress. They want to take things back to how society ran before, just because just for the sake of tradition. Like it doesn't get any deeper than that. Like it's essentially just peer pressure from dead people. Like these people are dead. They're not here. They're like there's no way you can please them by sticking tradition to tradition that is no longer relevant in a constantly evolving, progressing society. It's ridiculous. Like I don't have any respect for it at all. It's like society moves along. You either adapt and move along with it, or get the fuck out of the way. It should be that simple, but a lot of people are just stubborn.
Yeah, and I was the stubbornness is the manifestation, but the root source is narcissism. Really,
Yes.
I mean, it is
Yeah.
it really is narcissism. It's such a strong word, and it's like Nazi,
It's
right?
true.
These narcissistic Nazis, but they keep coming back to it. It's like times really have changed. I
There's something to
wanted
it.
to do other things professionally. Like I was into Hollywood, I was into the entertainment business, and I'm still connected in that world and active, in my producing and stuff. Not nearly to the extent that I used to be, but um, I felt obligated to get involved with when Trump got elected, and then you know, when the DNC has clearly not stepped up to the extent that it should. I mean, I don't know who said it. I think it might have been Reagan that said you can't just play defense and expect to win national elections in this country. You need to offer something else. And I
Yeah.
think maybe we were reminded of that lesson in 2004 with W versus John Kerry. We talked about it at the beginning of the stream.
Yeah, if any, I mean, for all the things that Democrats picked up from Reagan, why wasn't that one of them? Why are Democrats always playing defense? Like it's ridiculous, you know. I mean, if of all the things to learn from the Reagan administration, like yeah, go on offense for crying out loud, you know.
I think the biggest comparative lesson that the Democrats need to learn from the Republicans is when you have power, use it.
hmm
Do not hesitate. I mean, that's the biggest lesson from the first 2 years of the Obama administration.
Yes, exactly.
And that's also the lesson learned from the first 2 years of the Biden administration. And we
Yeah.
were reminded about that. And Clinton,
Yeah.
we gotta have a funeral for the Clintons, man. We gotta have a funeral for the culturally.
Please.
Like
yes.
enough.
Yeah.
They were a negative.
hmm
They were a negative
Big
on
time.
American history. He was a bad president in more ways than just one.
Yeah.
In about 6 different ways, he was a bad president.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah, no
Like,
kidding.
give me a
Like
break.
the first 2 years of the Biden administration, like yeah, you had a majority. It wasn't necessarily a super majority because like it was split in the Senate, but you had a couple independents that caucused with Democrats. But all the excuses that were made for Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema, who were being nothing but obstructionists, uh, I can't. It confounds. It baffles me to this day that there wasn't more fight in the Biden administration to pass their versions of their agenda. That's why Build Back Better was never like fully realized because it was completely watered down by
Yeah.
by those two conservative sellouts. You know, thank
Yeah.
God Cinema's on her way out. She's gone, but it's just gross. It also like it's really especially frustrating because of the the possibility that there just might be another Joe Manchin, there might be another Kirsten Sinema. So even if
Oh,
we
the
do,
system. The system is
yeah,
the problem.
exactly, big time.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if we do pick up some Senate seats, who's going to take?
No, it's not good enough to win. I'm trying to
Yeah.
come up with a creative way of framing this, but people are starting to pay attention to sports gambling more. I was thinking about this today.
Yeah.
And how there are point spreads, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
for example, let's say the Patriots are playing the Giants in a Super Bowl,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And the Patriots are favored by 6.5,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So you understand that they have to win by 7 or more points in order to win that bet, right?
That's okay. That's how it works. I didn't.
Yes,
I
this is
did.
the thing.
I didn't fully understand that, but that means that the Patriots would be a 6.5 point favorite.
Correct.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So we have to act as if we are 10-point favorites in national elections from now on.
Yeah. Yeah.
All the way through the election day, everything. And then when we because it's not enough to defeat conservatism. It's like a disease. You have to crush it.
Yeah.
It's like cancer that you can't cut out. You radiate it, and you make it smaller and smaller and smaller, and over time. Because right now, I say it's at least 1/3 of the voting public. It's really probably right smack dab at 35% of the voting public, not the general public, the voting public.
Yeah.
Okay. If you get voter participation up, you can get that number down to 30%. Maybe in a half a generation, we could get it down into the mid-20s,
Mm-hmm.
and then eventually into the teens by the time you and I are, or by the time I'm in my 60s, 20 years from now, maybe we could get into the teens and then make some real progress. The point is, like, the politics of compromise are over. And that's when I watched Jen's pitch. I'm like, that's cool on a local level. I'm a nice person. I'll get along with everyone. I'll meet with everyone. I love that attitude to start off. But I really want California to kind of take on an aggressive attitude of MAGA not welcome here.
Yeah.
Like, California don't want no MAGA,
Yeah.
and let that change sink in. Like, you
Yeah.
don't want any change. Let's start with that one.
Yeah.
How about you guys get a grip on reality here and stop picking fights with science and start recognizing that, science probably saved someone you love's life, and that you haven't thought through these things. You're so wound up by anger and rage and your emotional immaturity that you've been reduced to picking fights with experts.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the concept of expertise is literally on public trial right now.
No kidding. Like, I saw a meme today that that was like just brilliant because it is true. It said every disaster movie starts with the government ignoring a scientist. I think that's like so accurate. Like, yeah. If anything, California definitely should lead the way and just be unapologetic in its embrace of progress, like for progress
I
for
saw New
progress'
York.
sake,
New York has like a campaign that going on in there. It says "Keep New York Trash Free," and then it's got like a Trump like yellow hair with a MAGA hat, the circle and a line through it. Let's see if I can find it.
Love that. Yeah, I mean, in New York, that's got to be pretty easy. They're one of the bluest states in the union for sure.
Oh, it's awesome though. I love New Yorkers, man. They're my cousins.
Yeah.
Yeah, here we go.
I'd love to visit New York someday.
Oh, you'd love it, man. It's good people. I really actually have a lot of love in my heart for New York. Yeah, so keep NYC trash free.
Love
Isn't that
it.
great? Isn't that great?
Yeah,
Isn't that wonderful?
I would love to see these.
See, this is what I'm talking about, though. East Coasters, man. You West Coasters, man. I think we need to unite here and have like
you know
it's like the size of California, right? Like, think about an athlete, right? You can't coach size, okay? So you got the size of California, but then you want to play an aggressive sport like football, you got to have that intensity.
Yeah.
You got to have that intensity. And what is intense in America? The corridor, the Northeast corridor, Boston, New York, Philly, Baltimore, and D.C.
Yeah.
That's where the toughness. That's where the intellectual toughness lies.
Big
So
time.
you need like we in California need to combine forces and have the source of change come from California, but it needs to be inspired. The attitude of that momentum and change needs to be in the spirit of the East Coast corridor.
Yeah.
Because this whole nice guy California thing that Gavin Newsom is doing, I like what he's saying, but does he have the ethos of a tough guy? Does Gavin sound like? I mean, it kind of sounds like it with that gravelly voice, but does he really like pull off the like? I mean, does the word toughness in California really go together? And will they
Right.
go together because of him?
Right.
Marketing.
Yeah. No kidding. Like that kind of marketing in New York City and whatnot. It just goes to show, like the saying is true.
Balls.
You don't
Balls.
don't fuck with New Yorkers. You don't. I wish we had.
No, man.
I wish we had that here in California. You know, I mean, LA's the biggest metropolitan area, but like downtown in comparison, like to the greater LA area, it's a very very diverse, vast place, honestly. But I'd love to see bulletins like that around San Francisco. Keep San Francisco trash free. Be unapologetic in your dismissal and your opposition to MAGA. Like period. End of story. It's there's just too much resistance to that, and not to mention like San Francisco's kind of ran like crap anyway. The mayor sucks and the police department sucks, et cetera, et cetera. But that's like the closest like major cultural hub to me, apart from like obviously like Oakland and San Jose and whatnot, and even Sacramento is like it's not that the population there doesn't even top 500,000. So it's like like New York has friggin' over 8-9 million people in it. So like there's when we're not dealing with so much bustling like chaos and just a gigantic unfathomable about people in one area, your perception is not going to be either you're with me or get out of the way. It's not going to be so much like the tough guy mentality. It's not going to be as hard-headed as a lot of those East Coasters are, for sure. And so like when it comes to like Gavin Newsom, like you said, that he can definitely learn from that. A lot of Democrats can learn from that attitude. And these are blue areas, like those East Coast cities that you listed off, like big time. These are Democrat strongholds, intellectual strongholds, very strong, very tough. Yeah, like I'm almost tempted to like look into moving out there, honestly. But they're probably like just as expensive as out here.
Probably more so. Boston, New York, D.C. are all incredibly expensive.
Yeah.
Philly, I'm not so sure about. Baltimore, I know has gotten more expensive, but Baltimore's a great town. No, I just think that, people always, again, limitations are creativity's best friend. People give the Democrats shit about being a coastal city. I think it's actually a good thing that we're a coastal city. All the economic centers agree ideologically where the country should go. All the people who are exposed and basically comprehend the global economy all kind of agree that we need to solve some of these problems in big ways. We have huge undealt with problems that we're not getting ahead of. And those politics of racism and xenophobia that Trump invokes, they don't work in those areas. And they don't work in places like Chicago and Minneapolis and Milwaukee and Pittsburgh and places in Buffalo, New York, the Midwest. The Midwest economy is the word. Have you ever studied mega markets in America? There's like 5 mega markets in the U.S.
As in like
you ever studied them?
At least like corporations.
No, there's mega markets are corridors. So like there's the Northeast corridor is the biggest one that goes from Boston all the way down to DC.
Okay.
And then there's the Texas corridor, which is the 4 big cities of Texas: San Antonio,
Right.
Austin, Dallas, and Houston.
Yeah.
And then there's then the Midwest one goes all the way from Buffalo, New York, through Cleveland, Ohio, through Michigan, Detroit, Chicago, up into Milwaukee, and you
Okay.
can kind of connect Minneapolis there. Yeah, I think again this is another thing that we should maybe we'll watch that video at some point so that the audience gets it, because I have a dream of like Texas. Everybody has a dream. Every lefty has a dream of Texas kind of growing up and becoming blue, because they, unlike Florida, actually have the academic institutions necessary to become blue. Florida does not have those academic institutions. Florida has like no academic institutions to speak of. But
especially
Texas
now.
Texas actually has some pretty impressive academic institutions. Rice University in Houston, for example, is one that is regarded as one of the best schools in the country.
Yeah.
UT Austin is obviously Texas Tech, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So, but then they've got this major economy in Dallas and Houston, and this kind of like, my understanding is that the immigrant communities in Texas get along like fairly well with their white neighbors.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't,
big time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think there is a lot of mutual respect in the air.
Yeah.
In those communities, it's really just the more rural areas of Texas that, where. I mean, I think
Yeah.
like the pitch is like you burn the Confederate flag, you put down the Bible, and you recognize that there's some gun nuts out there that we got to do something about.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are willing to satisfy those 3 requirements, you are, you can be part of the future of America. If
Yeah.
you cannot do those 3 things, you're part of America's past.
Yeah, just cut off the rotting tumor that's been festering for the past almost 2
160
centuries.
years.
Yeah. and just move the hell on already. Yeah, that's definitely something we can do with like another Every American Should Know segment, the various corridors and what.
Yeah, maybe we'll
actually
start that up next week. Maybe we'll
find-
do like a on
Yeah.
Mondays or something, or I don't know. We'll pick one of the days. that
Yeah,
we'll do
yeah.
everything.
If I can dedicate some time, that's definitely because I still need to like pick and choose like what to clip from the past few streams and whatnot. But one of them will definitely be that wealth thing. Every American should
Yeah.
know. Like, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, for sure.
We'll talk about show management afterwards. Is there anything else you wanted to cover before we went, or many more about the politics of offense?
Only thing before departing, because I do have to pee really bad. Can we check up again on how the Prop 1 results
yeah.
are looking? Yeah.
Let's do it. Live results, California. They haven't moved. It's still at 52% reporting,
Lame. Wow.
and the numbers haven't moved. Yeah.
Dang, for sure.
So, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream, but you stay online. I want to chat more. Okay.
Sure. Sounds good.
All right, everybody. We'll see you guys next week, Monday, around 6:45 Pacific is usually when we come online, and we'll have plenty more to talk about then. In the meantime, stay wise, stay safe.
Thanks for tuning
Know the
in.
heart,
Hell yeah.
but vote with the head. Bye-bye.